That's me, a black baby born into a middle-class family in Cleveland, Ohio. My mom and dad, both school teachers, taught me everything I know. They taught me to excel, to work hard at my studies, and to follow my passion. I became a cheerleader and the class valedictorian in my mostly white high school. And yet, always were the taunts. You think you cute. Why do you talk so white? Why do you study so hard? You think you're not black? But as my mom told me, honey, you'll be black till the day you die. Never succumb to the insecurities of others. It's crippling. It holds you back from pursuing your dreams and succeeding in life. I married a white man, and we had 2 children. We took family vacations, had a lake house in the country, and drove a station wagon to soccer practice. And I am still black, just as my mother said I would be. But to this day, I hear the taunts. She only dates white men. She likes white people's music. She doesn't know she's black. She's so bougie. She is just not black enough. But who decides the criteria for blackness? Indeed, are there any? And why do we as a race insist on pulling ourselves down instead of helping each other break the cycle of poverty and prejudice against ourselves? Because in order for white on black prejudice to change anytime soon, black on black prejudice must change first and in a hurry. And so I made this movie to ask the question, who is black enough?
All right, major questions. Ready?
What?
You gotta prove to me. You gotta prove to me that you're black. You gotta prove that you're black.
I'm blacker than all of them.
You gotta prove that you're black. You gotta get your black pass.
My black pass?
Yeah, you gotta get your black pass. So here's my question: what's gonna be on that test?
I think
what's gonna be on the test? You gotta prove that you're gonna get your black pass.
Your DNA. Your DNA.
No,
People who black, they answer black questions. I don't.
Black questions.
more people would try to ask more.
Who was the first black president?
I think like I think if
The
people
first president was not yours.
Let her go. Go ahead.
Yes, he was.
So listen.
I think if people would say, "Oh, you have to act black or you have to make me think that you're black," most people since like I said before, like what they heard or what they're seeing on TV or what they've heard about people and seen from certain people, they would say, "Oh, if you want me to act black or act ghetto or act improper, but I'm definitely not gonna act proper and speak proper English and act the way I'm supposed to," because they've heard and thought about black people as people that are improper and they don't do things correctly.
I have 2 daughters, now 34 and 32. They're lovely. And one of them looks white. Their mother is a white woman. And my father looked white. So, and I happen to know, since we've analyzed their DNA, that they're 75% European. Because my father was over 50% European. I'm 50% European in my genome. So, you know. So my little girl comes to me and she says, "Daddy, what do I say to people who say I'm not black enough?" And I looked at her and I said, "Well, there's something you should tell them." She said, "What?" I said, "Tell them, kiss your black ass."
Sometimes I think I'm too black. And how is that possible? It's not possible. I mean, I'm black as I'm supposed to be.
I never understood being held back, 'cause I can hit anything that I aim at. Believe in oneself and make them stand back. When crazy people try to tell me that I don't match, or I don't measure up to what I'm looking like. And what I got to say to that is what I'm looking like. Because my hat is to the front and not around the back. 'Cause my pants is pulled up and you don't see the crack. Oh, it's the button up and the book sack. And $200 frames with my nose at. That you'll call me less black than I am, Jack. Okay, I'm alright with that. You saying things change, I don't see the difference. All I'm seeing these days is they still tripping. Talking about how black am I supposed to be. That ain't even a question you should ask me. No, because I'm well educated and highly articulate. I don't fit in with the clique, well tell me then, 'cause I don't get it. How black am I supposed to be? 'Cause I'm as black as I'm supposed to be. Now, when we were little kids and we were growing up, We seen good times and we seen rough. But when times started to change, I had to change up. Why should people stay in the same rut? Especially when all it took is efforts of trying. Man, we all had to struggle back in someone's time. Some lesser, but that don't make it better than mine. And time will never get no better if we don't keep trying. Man, I'm trying to see the level of the utmost high and do everything I'm supposed to do until I die. You think I got time to sit around wondering why I'm not accepted by acceptors like this ignorant guy? Not I. You saying things change, I don't see the difference. All I'm seeing these days is they still tripping. Talking about how black am I supposed to be? Cause I'm as black as I'm supposed to be.
Well, now, who do you think you are, little black lady, you know, with a French name and different from the rest of us? You're gonna go and be a star. Oh yeah, you know. So instead of supporting me, said, "Go, girl, you represent us," there was just that, I don't know, almost crab mentality.
So 2 Brazilian fishermen are checking their crab pots, and one says to the other, "Hey, better put the lid on that crab pot. Those crabs are gonna escape." And the other fisherman says, "Nah, these are Brazilian crabs. As soon as one tries to lift himself up, the others will pull him down."
Slavery worked. The disease of that mentality that has been brought down throughout the generations, that traumatic slave trauma, it worked, and it's still working to this day.
To enslave people.
Slavery.
Slavery.
Slavery. Slavery. Slavery.
Slavery.
Our people have tendency, they really don't get the story straight. There is, you want to break it down to what's black and white, really? Come on. When they brought the slaves here, there was a lot more white fathers than black fathers. Because we were property. They owned us.
Because blacks were the receiving end of slavery for the most part, I think they learned how to do certain things, or they learned how to say certain things. They became accustomed to the lifestyle, you know, even if they had freed themselves in their minds. The lifestyle that they had grown accustomed to, because in an uncomfortable situation, you do things to make yourself as comfortable as possible. So the ways that they were then was kind of passed on through generations.
The past continues to be the present, and that what we see was rooted in that experience that is still with us. So conversations about race relations, conversations about colorism, conversations about hair, conversations about how we treat each other can be found there in those early documents.
Every issue black people have with themselves, accepting themselves, self-esteem, putting together families staying together. They played a psych trip on us. And, to think that you're supposed to just get over it, give me a break. Like, why aren't black families staying together? Because, you used to breed people and split the mothers up from the kids.
The world changed, but the people didn't. The mindset of people did not change.
Slaves themselves even competed in terms of trying to command a certain kind of human dignity for themselves. Who had the better master? Well, that particular conversation is rather nonsensical because they were still not free. So in many ways, we are still trapped by those notions of who is the better oppressed.
By 1860, 10% of the African American community was free. Well, there's a big difference between being a free black person and being an enslaved black person. All of which is to say that this has a long and often tortured history among our people.
What's happened to us, they've cut us loose. At least they thought they did. Europeans thought they cut us totally loose from our culture. Actually, they didn't. But the situation was so traumatic for so many of us that we figured the best thing to do was just follow the Christianity, follow all the rest of the aspects of Europeanism, and that we had to learn when we got over here.
Black people were kept down and even made to marry within families and have children within families. We were not allowed to elevate ourselves.
You know, you've got the good hair, so you've got the job, so therefore you must be better. And, you know, we've segregated ourselves based on those dynamics that have very much to do with what we were exposed to and what we experienced in that trauma that is American slavery.
Yeah, I believe slavery is the foundation of all of our ills.
We find ourselves in certain situations where we limit ourselves or we place discomfort upon ourselves to make us feel uncomfortable in certain situations and around certain people.
Within the Black community, there's discrimination and aggressive feelings one group toward the other, which is, you know, I guess human nature that, you know, if someone else has an advantage, you're as well qualified and they're getting the jobs because they're lighter skinned and you don't fit in. You know, that's a clash. I mean, that's going to be obviously a clash. And so people deal with those things in different ways. And I think, you know, that emotional trauma, it displays itself, it manifests itself in different ways in the Black community.
It's been happening for so long. And this is what, you know, this is the thing that I think I find so disturbing, you know, within our community, because as I said, we've been fighting this fight now. You know, it started in slavery with, you know, house Negroes and field Negroes. Mm-hmm. And we were never able to shake that, you know, and not only that, but also the shame that we took on with slavery. And we're still feeling, right, rather than, and what I used to say and what I still say, we need to take a page, don't hate the player, hate the game. Take a page out of the Jewish people's book. I was just going to say that. There is no shame in the fact that they got scooped up, put on trains, shipped off, and murdered. Right. You know, and they're like, we wear this proud, and we remember it every year, and we celebrate it. Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, 400 years ago, it ain't 400 years ago. You don't even know nothing about 400 years ago. Nobody here knows anything about 400 years ago. You know what you're taught, and you do know that you can tell a story. It's how many people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 6 people in this room. Or 7. Is it 6? Yeah, 6 people in this room. And you do know that one person can tell somebody something, and by the time they get to the 6th person in this room, that the story will have something extra added or something taken away. So you imagine that for 400 years. You imagine that story being passed on for 400 years. There's something not being told, and there's something that's overly told.
So what is Black enough? Is it the music I listen to? Is it the music I sing? I mean, I understand what they're expecting. A lot of times I think they expect being Black enough as being lower and not as educated, you know, not as refined. I grew up in a household where my mother taught me to speak proper English. I wasn't even allowed to say ain't. This did not sit well with the Black community. And the reason I say the Black community, because I lived on a street that divided the white community and the Black community. There were quite a few things that were present that presented jealousy, only because when you had something that was considered good, it was leaned more toward the white race. And this is really more in America, I think, than in other countries.
No one wants to be thought of betraying the race, which is a bizarre way to put it anyway, but that's how historically it's been put. Remember my family, one of my mother's brothers went to Boston University. When he came home, I heard him say with my own ears that he didn't like watermelon. I was like, what? I used to see him eat watermelon all the time before he went up there. You know, but this was, we couldn't like watermelon anymore. Oh no, I don't never would eat watermelon. Like, good, because that's more watermelon for me.
Look, what's that sound? Everybody knows what's going down. Stop.
There's something happening here.
WH?
My grandmother's opinion on what I do, she supports me all the way. She's one of my biggest supporters. But sometimes she can be like, oh, well, she needs to learn this. Well, she needs to have a vocal coach because she needs to get more soul in her voice. Why doesn't she listen to this? Well, why does she like all those white folks? Why does she want to sing like those white folks? I'm not trying to sing like anybody. I'm trying to sing like me.
What the real shocking moment for me was when I won Miss America as a black woman, labeled the first black Miss America, and I got so much blowback and fire. Not that there was many people that were extremely proud and so happy that it finally happened in 1983. But then there were a big contingency of people that said, well, she's not black. She's not black enough. She's got light eyes. Of course they picked her.
The bottom line is that we're at war. That's just what it is. We're at war all over the planet as African people. All you gotta do is just look all over the planet and see where we are. We're at war all over the planet. Because I hear too many people saying, oh, black people do this to themselves. They do it to themselves. They do it to themselves. No, we don't do it to ourselves. We got it from our enemies. Our enemies forced this on us. I always tell people, if it didn't come from the elders, then where'd it come from? It came from the people that control the media. It came from the people that control the movie industry. It comes from Hollywood. It comes from the people that control the rap industry. And we know who they are. You have certain Jews that are always right there, always in the middle of it. So the money people were able to do that, and those of us who are trying to put on African-centered people in the media don't have the amount of money they have, as far as I'm concerned. When I look at the successful people all around, example, look at the Chinese. The Chinese don't care about nobody. They don't care. They have no consideration for anybody doing anything if you're not Chinese. The Chinese will come into a neighborhood that's all white and set up a Chinese place and don't care what anybody thinks. Chinese are in my community. It's all Latinos and Africans. Ain't no Chinese live there. If there's any Chinese live there, I haven't seen any. And I've been there 3 years, I ain't seen one. I ain't seen any. But they got about 4 or 5 restaurants right there in my area. They come in, they set up, they talk Chinese all day, they sell Chinese food, they eat their own food, So when an African person comes and says, yes, all we gotta do is just integrate into, the predominant culture and we'll be okay. I don't know where that has been proven. I don't know I haven't seen any proof of anybody assimilating with a dominant culture and they come out all right.
My father always wanted to encourage me to do the things that I felt I wanted to do. But when I told him that I was going to major in music rather than go the other route and become a medical student, he said, what makes you think they're going to want you in that profession? And when he elaborated on it, it all came down to, this is not the way we thought you would develop. And in other words, they're saying, this is not what the black community thinks you should be doing.
I was suddenly catapulted into a whole different world where I was hearing classical music. I grew up with Duke Ellington. I grew up with Count Basie, with Lucky Millender, all of those people. That was my frame of reference. But I moved away. Well, what happened to the people in my community? It's like, I don't know if they separated themselves from me or I separated myself from them. But I know that I was beginning to feel not so much a part of the Harlem community.
When the Fifth Dimension first got together, we used to rehearse Motown music because that's what was popular and that's what we liked. When we first recorded and released a recording, people thought we were white because they expected at that time black singers to sing R&B. And we did not sound like what they expected from a black group. We sounded like a black group because we were black. But that's not what was expected by the general public. We performed at a college that had a black club, I believe, that was hiring entertainment, and they wanted a black group. Well, there were about 3 or 4 people who picketed when they saw the Fifth Dimension. They said, we wanted a black group. We said, well, here we are.
When I got on The Price is Right,
The African American community was elated. They were so happy. But you know, on the other hand, I must say, there was hate mail coming in. There was hate mail, a lot of hate mail. I was not only the first Black/African American model on the show, I was also the fourth model added.
And it almost like negated any kind of history that happened for me, or any kind of achievement, basically. Although in my lifetime, I never aspired to be Miss America. It came by happenstance, majoring in what I do, sang a song that I've done before, ended up, I won. So I didn't feel it as a personal slam, but because I achieved it. And people didn't accept me for who I was.
I was in several beauty pageants, and they were Black-oriented. So at that point, I could really feel the tension when the darker skinned girls were looking at like me. They had different hair texture, just a different look altogether. I could really sense and feel a lot of adversity coming from the other contestants. And it's the same like, you know, put your hand on your hip. She thinks she's so cute just because she light skinned and she's doing this and that, her hair and everything. And you can feel it, you can sense it. It's like they wanted to sabotage, booby trap, or do whatever you were trying to do, or what have you. It's a very uncomfortable feeling. And it's not a good feeling you like to feel. And when I sensed that, it did take me back to when I was a young girl on Prospect Street in Girard, Ohio, and having to try to fit in and try to appease these girls and bring myself down to a certain level, even to talk slang, say, yeah, well, you know, and all of that. And, you know, at some point it hits you and like, no, you don't have to do that, get over that. That's their idiosyncrasy, that's their hang-up.
Pressure is in all these different parts of American society, because those circumstances that lead to it are in all those different parts of society. Nobody's quite free of it, because as regards that identity, the racial identity of being African American in this society, in this society, that circumstance is so common that, and we're so alerted to that pressure can be, can be there all over the place.
You want to feel safe.
That's it.
And the place where you presume you're safe is with people who look like you.
Right.
And so when that is betrayed, it goes in because there was no armor. You know, we as a Black person in this country, you walk out your door, you shield up.
I go back to the motives that I think are behind it. But one being that I'm going to lose somebody, either on either side of that. Either I'm the one who is assimilating or being upwardly mobile. Maybe I'm going to lose my roots and family. So that's a source of that anxiety. And that could happen in all those circumstances you described, from the suburbs of DC to Compton to Beverly Hills.
But I'm like, I got to figure this out. So I became a cheerleader. Because that was across the class lines. You know, everybody in the cheerleading squad, we had the whole group, but it was, then I knew I had to be really good. You know, because if I wasn't really good, then all that other stuff was gonna start coming out. You know, she's not in our classes. Well, you know, because then we had a different lunch period, and it just, all of these separators, you know, that came out.
Another motive is there's a little, tension, frisson around the upward mobility and integration of African Americans. It puts two pressures. One is the pressure of the anxiety about loss, that we're going to lose somebody. And the other is the pressure. If that person does it, then maybe the pressure on me to do it is going to be greater.
I found too that within our community, why did you want to be smart? Like if you're in the honors classes at school, so that separated me from other Black kids. And again, my high school was predominantly Black and Latino.
Never let anybody be a bully and tell you how to be Black. You can like ice hockey, Picasso, Mozart, and still culturally be as Black as an ace of spades.
I feel like I'm not accepted sometimes because of what they grew up on. I mean, So people grow up different ways. Some people have a harsh background, some people don't. I was fortunate enough and blessed to grow up in a good background with good people. But sometimes the people that love you the most can have the most hard words to say and the most disrespectful words to say.
The issues within the race are not just for Black people. You can see it in every culture. I have Indian friends whose skin is dark and hair is curly. And the standard of beauty is for someone lighter with straighter hair and lighter eyes within that culture.
In London, there was a famous market for crabs, where crabs from different countries were displayed in different baskets. They were live crabs, so all the baskets had lids on them, except for one basket, and that basket belonged to the crabs of India.
I've got a friend who's half Portuguese, half Lebanese. Dad was Portuguese, mom was Lebanese, and she's as brown or browner than I am, has crazy curly hair, and her mother would beat her up when she was growing up because she would call her a black bitch because she was too dark to be accepted within the Lebanese community or what she felt was beautiful, and her father Portuguese.
Dois pescadores olhando nas suas armadilhas caranguejos. E pescador fala, oi, põe a tampa em cima nesta armadilha. Os caranguejos vão escapar.
Two Filipino fishermen came back from a long day of catching lobsters. At the end of the day, one fisherman says to the other, let's go celebrate our good catch with a few beers.
Two Jamaican fishermen just coming back from a long day of catching lobster. The first fisherman said, let us go out and celebrate by drinking some beer.
Two Haitian fishermen come back from a long day of catching crabs.
One of the Haitian fishermen said, let's go and have a few prestige beers and celebrate a great catch of the day.
When you get older, there's an edge, and like you can tell when people are saying something to mean something, you know? And it's like, you know, why are they making such snarky comments? Like, we're not really flashy people. We're not trying to be in anyone's face, but like, you can tell when
they're like trying to call something out.
Right, they're trying to call you out for something that you have no control over, that it was just something that you grew up with, and then you like walk into a room full of Black girls of all different shades, and like you're the first one to get called out for something just because of like, it is like who you are.
It was based on color. Sometimes it was based on length of hair, and whether you as a male, I'm speaking for Black men, were light enough and bright enough. And bright means color as well as brain power to attract a certain type of woman.
I did not look like the type of girl that all the boys would hang out with. My hair was not straight, my lips were not thin, my nose was flat. In other words, I had nothing redeeming. So I then would try to overcome it by doing everything better so I could get attention.
I had the issue of having, I don't want to say a nation, but a large percentage of people slap me with the reality that, well, you don't matter because you're not Black enough.
But now, though, and like within the race, the colors matter even more so, which is like the sad part about it. You know, that's where like where the value is. It's like, oh, the lighter you are, the better. People bleaching their skin, all that kind of thing.
And
it's
that's when I first started noticing that is when I went to high school.
Right, I noticed it when I went to college, and when I was more aware of it.
Because my high school was an all-girls high school, the darker skinned girls were not as treated as well as the lighter girls.
I do believe that as my parents were, when they were younger and establishing their family, and even my grandmother, the friends were lighter skinned with straight hair. And professionals associated with other professionals. You know, there were bridge clubs, there's a very well-known African-American women's organization. There were only wives of professional men, and I would say 99% of them were light-skinned with straight hair.
You need people to reinforce your sense of being an individual, your sense of difference. people who love you, people who are comfortable with people.
Captivity for over 400 years, we have lost who we are.
And when they hear you speak and you speak like you've been to school, then it's a problem. They're like, oh, you know, you speak like you're white or whatever. But it's not a matter of that. It's a matter of being educated.
Black Panthers, authentic in our black people's hearts. That's the problem. A lot of black people hate to see you get there. So they want to draw you down. A friend of mine got a lot of money and all this and all that. And I ain't got no money. How you envying me and I ain't even got no money? Why is you so envying me? You got this, you got that, you got this, you got that, and I ain't got nothing. It's envy of each other, and it's the disease. It's a straight up disease. You know, we need to stop. That's one of our baddest problems. We need to stop bringing each other down.
We can lead a generation. We just have to lay the foundation.
We're here in Greenville now, North Carolina, in my hometown where I was born and raised. And there's a restaurant here, and this restaurant is called Parker's. This restaurant is a part of my life. My grandfather used to work at this restaurant, cleaning the restaurant. Sometimes, if we didn't have to go to school or it was the summertime, my grandfather would let us come and work with him, help him clean up. The restaurant has been around for a long time, passed down through generation. As a child, I used to go in there and there used to be this little white boy. They used to be in there. And we would, when my grandfather was doing something and the owner was doing something, me and the little white boy would run up on each other and we would just look at each other and, you know what I mean, we'll play with each other until his daddy told him to come and my grandfather told me to come. It was his father's restaurant, and it was his father's restaurant. Back in the days before, you know, in the segregation days, you know, there was a place in the back where blacks would go and pick their food up, and the white people would go and sit in the front. And all these many years later, if you go to this restaurant and you just sit and you just observe this restaurant and how things happen, the majority of the white people that go to this restaurant will go into that front and sit down and eat. And the majority of the black people will still go around to this back and pick up their food and leave. And it's not because we can't go in the front and sit down, because I have done it myself. I'm like, wait a minute, why am I sitting around here? I want to go in and I want to sit down. And I went in and I sat down. And like I said, I met the young man that I used to see as a child. And he, hey man, anytime, oh my God, yeah, your grandfather, oh man, he was a very good man. And man, yeah, that was my dad and that was my grandfather. And man, it was us as kids. And so he's like, man, anytime you're here, man, just come by. Hey, look, I got you, everything's taken care of. And we went in and we sat down. And I actually felt uncomfortable. As crazy as it sounds, it was like, because for years, all we did was go in the back and clean up. After that, all we did was go to this back door and pick up food and leave. Now for me to go into this main lobby and sit down and eat, me, as black as I am and as proud of a person I am, and as headstrong and alpha male, all that, I actually felt uncomfortable. I felt some kind of way. And excuse me for skipping subjects, but it's the same way with the way that people ride buses and trains. We fought so hard.
Why did I do this to you?
To sit up to the front. Why? But now, the back is coolest. The back is cool. So everybody get on the bus want to rush to the back. Nobody wants to sit in the front.
The only time it felt not normal was when everyone else around me made me feel like an outcast. And I think that was when I would start questioning, is there something weird about my upbringing? Or, like I wish sometimes like I didn't have to deal with everyone asking about the two different races in my life. Because to me, it's just my mom and my dad. But to everyone else, you know, it's like, oh, your mom's black and your dad's white. How did that happen? And I think because society is so uncomfortable about race, they don't know how to handle a lot of like multicultural people. They don't know how to accept it without making it an issue. So I think everyone else is uncomfortable, so they want you to have an uncomfortable experience.
People think that President Obama is the first black president. Personally, I got problems with that because we're clear that almost all biracial people in this country swing to the white side in terms of philosophy.
Even though I identified more as a black girl, I still got issues with black girls as well because, you know, I was still white, so I was like the white black girl, you know, or, oh, your dad's white, so like, you're like the white girl in the crew or something like that.
You know, unfortunately, they've used Obama the same way they've used Nelson Mandela, you know, to confuse and cause infighting among African people because of the fact of he's supposed to be, both of them are supposed to be black people, but in actuality, they work for the European masters.
They were hurtful words. It's the word pickaninny.
Yeah.
Never like that word. Kookaburra. I don't know
Ooh.
why I didn't. Kookaburra.
Oh, kookaburra, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard that
Really?
before.
Yeah.
Because of Orange is the New Black, everybody's wearing Bantu knots because of crazy eye.
Right.
Oh,
but
right.
those words used to be. I used to feel
was never
hurtful.
there.
But I mean, was it black people that used that term?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I can remember
That's
hearing
old
that.
Southern
That's the old.
stuff.
My parents are from North Carolina, though.
Yeah,
I heard
South
pickaninny.
Carolina. That was just so hurtful to me.
Pickaninny braids, topsy braids.
Topsy braids.
Never heard topsy.
When you tear off of the pieces of the rag.
Yeah, because Topsy had all the braids.
But what you hear is she's pretty for a dark girl.
Yeah.
My dad's side of the family grew up in Oyster Bay, Long Island. Everybody had different color eyes, wavy hair, curly hair, some chocolate brown, some mocha, some fairer that you couldn't even tell that they were black.
Well, you think you so cute. You think because you got your little cute hair and you're like you light-skinned and all that light-skinned, I'm like, okay.
Look at you, think you cute. You got good hair, you got white skin. That's a result of pathologies inherited from slavery and Jim Crow.
So that notion of not being black enough has been a double-edged sword. On the one hand, African Americans have been infatuated with this notion of good hair and light skin.
I would tell stories like how she was called like a porch monkey or like
Oh,
a
yeah.
pickaninny or whatever. But
Yeah, and I
or
think
car
those
baby or
words
something
were
like-
hurtful to me, but not because they were talking about my hair. You know,
Just to
I
hear
felt it was like some kind of degrading, you know, it had a degrading connotation as to I wasn't as good as you.
Yeah.
I was less than you. I'm not a good person. So as a kid, when I would hear those words, I'd be like, I can't.
This is not good.
This is not good. Why somebody doesn't like me?
Mm-hmm.
And it had to do with not just, you know, it had to do with because I was brown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was the issue because I was brown, and it was coming from somebody who looked just like me.
I think it's very important for African women to wear their hair natural. It's not a really complicated reason why I say that because, you know, to the level that we are proud of exactly how the Supreme Being made us, that has a lot to do with our ego and a lot to do with our progress. Whatever you call progress, you know, it comes from the foundation. And the foundation is that we are proud of exactly how we were made and created by the Supreme Being. Natural hair is extremely important.
Make my hair bounce when I get down. Make my hair bounce when I get down. Make my hair bounce like I don't care. Make my hair bounce when I put it
So I
in the
started
air.
wearing natural hairstyles, and even then my mom was just like, no. Right. Like, your hair's gonna get tangled, and go comb it, go brush it, go put it in a bun, go do something. She's from old school, growing up in the 50s in the islands. Always have to have your hair done.
Make my hair bounce like I don't care. Make my hair bounce when I put it in the air.
We're at a cultural tipping point now where I feel like we are just tired of being told who we are and what we need to be.
Today, Miss Ananike is doing a 2-strand twist on my hair, which I love because it allows me to style it however I want. So I can put in a mohawk, I can put it up in a bun, and then my favorite thing is I get to unravel them piece by piece. So
I'm definitely a person that believes that, you know, that we're more than our hair, and I can't say that I felt any less black or connection to my people if I had a relaxer.
I'm getting some lock maintenance and an updo.
Make my hair bounce like I don't care. Make my hair bounce when I put it in the air.
My mother had a vision that now in my adulthood I see very clearly, but as a kid I didn't, because the natural hair boom wasn't cool when I was little, so it was difficult.
But I do feel that when someone says I have good hair, they're not talking about hair like mine. Like, they're not talking about natural hair. They're talking about I can dye my hair, I can blow it out, it's gonna blow in the wind. I think that's what they talk about, and I think it's unfortunate because that's not good hair to me.
Once, a lot of people say, you know, hey, I'm black, I'm gonna rock my little afro, but then that night you go to the club and you got this weave on, you know, and you go, oh, my man loves my straight hair. Right. Well, who are you?
Right.
Who are you?
Well, just the whole rhetoric of hair is very interesting to me, because to talk about something being natural, I borrow from Kabina Mercer, who says, well, hair itself is whenever you touch it with human hands, and you're constructing it, whether it is dyeing it, parting it, moussing it, cutting it, blowing. You're doing something to construct it. So this idea that it is natural is really a bit of a misnaming.
Make my hair bounce like I don't care. Make my hair bounce when I put it in the air.
Black women and black men are going to continue to believe that straight is better. That's what we've been taught for eons and eons. There were times where black men were looking for women whose hair was the nappiest of all. That was what you acquired when you got married in a village. It was like, does my woman have a crown of hair? And that hair wasn't straight. That hair was kinked and locked and braided and all sorts of things. And in some cultures, it was bald.
Make my hair bounce like I don't care. Make my hair bounce when I put it in the air.
So you're embracing who you are. That's the complexity.
Yes.
It's nothing else, because yes, this is the hair. This is who I am.
Yes.
And this is who all of us are.
When I got my Africa tattoo, or when I decided to go natural, the men that I grew up with that lives in the projects, or who I've always related to on some what's up level, started to become a little bit more standoffish. And I think they assumed,
After you went natural?
Yeah. Wow. They became more standoffish, or if I went for them for a pound, as I usually do now, they want to hug and they want, peace, sister, and the way they approach me is different.
That's been like the golden rule since I was little. Never put scissors to your hair.
With my brother growing up at the project and knowing a lot of girls who would get perms or get weaves, he saw me changing, and he saw me turning into someone who would be, if I was a girl he didn't know and he was trying to talk to me on the streets, one of the girls that would turn him down, or one of the girls that he couldn't afford, or something, some kind of mentality that comes with his understanding and his perception of natural hair girls. He didn't want to put me in that box.
This idea of good hair and bad hair and straight hair and silky hair and whites have this and blacks, it's too reductive, and it's not true.
Make my hair bounce like I don't care. Make my hair bounce when I put it in the air.
There's no one type of hair that's more beautiful than the other. Obviously, you're gonna have a preference, right? But growing up as a hairstylist, I did Jewish people's hair, I did white people's hair, I did everything. And everyone's hair is beautiful. It's just important that you love your hair for what it is.
I mean, I've seen people walking around with red locks and green locks and yellow locks, and that's not authentic. That's the level I'm talking about in terms of us not only being an African, but also saving all them thousands of dollars that we spend on trying to be something that's not African.
I mean, you all know the cotillion, right? You know, that's usually it's run by. Okay, so it's usually run by for the uninitiated. It's usually run by a group of old black women, you know, some organization. And so I was a debutante.
That was a big thing in Detroit back in the day.
So I was a debutante, and it had to be senior year. And so I was in a play at school, actually, and my hair was starting to do crazy things. It was breaking off. I had a Jerry curl before Jerry curls were out. I went and chopped my hair off, right? It was probably about your length. Rolled up on my debutante rehearsal.
You have freedom part on your debutante?
These ladies
They almost
literally,
stroked out.
they did. They stopped talking.
Yeah, they care the most.
I walked into the basement of the church where we were rehearsing, and the room got silent. And sat there thinking, wow, they might actually throw me out. Like, it was that serious that I had cut my hair off and had the nerve to roll up on my debutante. In the pictures, I love the picture now because I've got this beautiful white dress on and the long gloves and a short natural.
That's what I appreciate about girls now. They will choose. They feel that they have the right to choose where they want to be, and there's so many ways to be, and there's creativity in hair, and then we can swing the other way. I started with dreads, I got tired of them, and then I had some box braids that were always down here, and then I was tired of them, and I took the braids out, and it was just a lot of hair, and my sister said to me, you are going to the hairdresser, I'm paying for it because I cannot stand, because I had no, nothing. It was just like big, lot of hair. And I was like, I'm fine. And she's like, no, you need to get something done with that bush.
Straight is still better. I can't believe it. People still believe that in spite of the weaves, in spite of,
Hair.
Black is Beautiful movement and the whole Afro movement, I mean, when I walked into my grandmother's house with an Afro, they were outdone.
It was militant, they were still thinking, Stokely and everybody like that. That I was being militant because I was cutting my hair off, a la Angela Davis, and they were like, people actually came up to me and said, are you trying to make a statement?
Wow.
And I would say,
yes, I want to pay hair bills.
That's what I said.
I'm tired of doing hair.
My statement is I'm tired of paying my Amex bill.
They're posing a very bad example for their children and for their grandchildren. They're walking into the house, they're an African woman, instead of wearing an afro or locks or braids, they're wearing blonde hair or something from someplace else. What do their children think about? What do their daughter think about that? So it's all very, in the long run, it becomes very destructive because you're looking into the mirror and you're saying, I'm not adequate.
I find that the people who do the most damage to other people are the politically correct. Those who are creating an identity based on an ideology and trying to shoehorn everyone into that identity. Kind of like members of a cult. People see blackness as a cult.
As far as me, when I was younger, like I said, in middle school, I always wanted to cheer, and I joined the cheering squad, which took a lot of backlash from my African-American friends. I was picked on a lot because I had mostly Caucasian friends, and they loved to call me Oreo, which typically was the black girl trying to be white.
Really, but like if you don't know certain slang that everybody else speaks, they're gonna be like, oh, how come you don't know this and how come you don't know that? And it's like, oh, if everybody else knows this, you should know it too. And it's like they'll be like, oh, you're white because you don't know this or you don't know that. If you should know this because everybody else knows it. But it's like it's not just about being white and not knowing slang. It's just if you don't know it, you don't know it.
And people didn't accept me for who I was. That was like a personal thing because I can't change who I am. I can change the way I speak because I'm an actress and I can do accents and whatever, but this is who I am. This is the product of my environment and my parents investing their time and effort into making me who I am.
That's a nightmare. Or people standing up calling each other Uncle Tom in public and calling each other out.
Either we're African or we're not. And I mean either we're authentic or we're not.
So it's not new. It is a fundamental part of our experience. Always questioning what is authentically black. And it's a bizarre thing when you think about it to even wonder about.
To the level that we practice our authentic African traditional culture. And I mean authentic. I'm not talking about over here. I'm talking about in Africa. I'm talking about people in Africa who have, to the best of their ability, stayed away from Europeans and stayed away from Portuguese and the Arabs, everybody else, to the level they would be able to stay away. I'm talking about some of the Nubians and I'm talking about the people who they call the Pygmies. I'm talking about the Bushmen. I'm talking about even some other people, even some of the traditional Zulus and other groups of people who have tried their best to hold on to their authentic culture before being in contact with anybody else.
It's all external.
It's the heart that counts. You know, people talk about, some black people talk about going back to Africa. That's ridiculous. Because in Africa, there's the same thing. They have different tribes. They're fighting amongst each other.
Foreign people are enemies, paying young boys who don't know any better, mostly boys, they don't know any better, 18 to 17 to 15 to 20, they don't have any money. So here comes this European person, or this Jew, whoever it is, saying, listen, Lil Wayne, we want you to do this, that, or the other, no problem, we're gonna pay you money, get on TV and use the N-word for an hour and the B-word, and we'll pay you. And that's what happened.
When people say that the type of music that we as artists sometimes do, oh man, that's a white song. Oh man, that's a pop record. You know, we need to do nigga music. You know, hey, that shit ain't street enough. You know, it kills me because, again, when you are an artist, now if you are a black artist, or you're a black rapper, or you're a street rapper, I can understand that. But if you are an artist, a true artist to its truest form, there is no color, there is no boundaries, there are no limits, there are no cannot do's, there are no will not do's. Music is infinite.
Be clear, this has nothing to do with black people, nothing to do with African people. That word, the N-word, the B-word, and I'm trying to think what other words, whatever word we can other words we can think of that's like that, has nothing to do with African people. It didn't come from us. We don't teach that. It has nothing to do with our history.
The fact that there are those, and it's of a generation, who somehow think that you have taken something back. Well, you know, according to Toni Morrison, you can't really take anything back that you never owned. So that particular name was not a name that we gave ourselves. That was a name that was given us.
There are different ways of using the word nigger. And I say it, there's the big N, which is used by an entertainment culture or a racist culture, albeit black or white, to describe a certain behavior pattern that either is typical or to be expected from a certain group of people. The big N thinks that brings out his masculinity and brings out her feminine characteristics, which plays back on the African American current experience and puts us in a time bomb.
But in terms of sort of casually using it, I choose not to use it. And I like to think that I'm thinking about that word in the same way that I try to think about use of ableist language or sexist language. You know, if the language controls us, that's really, really quite sad. That means that we are oppressed by our own language and that language is the enemy.
I haven't heard somebody say my spick yet. Haven't heard somebody say my kite yet. Haven't heard somebody say my cracker yet. That's what I'm listening for. I'm waiting for somebody to start using it, but I haven't heard it.
People say that to me all the time. I was walking to the bus stop to get to the bus to go to bed, and I was with my friend Taj. Taj Jones. Oh. There was a puddle of water. Instead of me walking into the water, I walked around the water, and he walked into the water. He said, "Stop being white and just walk inside the water." What? I said, I'm not trying to be white. I'm trying to be smart and not get my feet wet.
He met her on a Friday, 27th of May. Her brown skin from mother's clay, and eyes that take you far away. As she spoke, he wore a smile, inviting her to stay a while. Cowrie shells, barefooted style.
I grew up in a small town in Maryland called Chestertown, at the eastern shore of Maryland. You know, it's a very small town, very, when I grew up, it's very segregated. You know, you went to school together, but you lived in your own, black folks lived in this area, white folks lived in this area. You grow up with your friends, and then you got to go to school. You go to school, you separate out, and you go to your classes. So, as I'm older, I understand that for a lot of folk, it may be difficult to figure out, this kid is smart, this kid is talented, and this kid hangs out with white kids at school. We don't know what to make of that. So the best way to do that is say, he's weird, he's white, he doesn't fit in.
Eyes open wide, but you don't see your reflection, that is me. Brothers and sisters, we are in this together, but divided our shackles will last forever. And when you look at me, is it my heart you see? Do you not feel the pain I do? What will your answer be when you need sympathy? Am I not black enough for you? I could cry the hurt away, trying to find the words to say. Do I learn to stand or fall? And will you be here with me through it all? Oh yeah. So if you look at me, where is your empathy? Do you not feel the pain I do? What will your answer be when you need sympathy? Am I not black enough for you? Don't be afraid, don't turn away. My heart's your mind, no different inside. Beautiful blackness, beautiful blackness. Now when you look at me, make it my heart you see, because I feel the pain you do. What will your answer be when you need sympathy? Oh yes, I'm black enough. Oh yes, I'm black enough. Yes, I'm black enough for you. For you.
All right, I can dig your radio station being country, or I can dig your radio station being pop, or I can dig your radio station being urban, but don't separate it as white and black music. you know. Music is music.
Leontine Price, Jesse Norman, they don't have those kinds of people. Do they not have that because they're fearful that the black people won't be able to reach that level?
I think it even goes down to like the music too. Like there's a lot of rappers now coming out in hip hop who may have a different style, and it's not the traditional like gangster rap, or they're not talking about the things that we think that black hip hop music should talk about. They may have like an educated music base that's talking about whatever they feel, but it sounds a little more, you know, grammatically correct to maybe your mom or someone. You can maybe play that music around your grandmother. But then it's almost like the rest of the hip hop culture may kind of call them like a sellout. Like, this is never gonna sell.
I don't even know how much black people listen to it. I've heard it argued that a lot of the biggest part of the record buying world is white suburban kids.
There's no definition of white, black, and I see what you're saying, like the person that made the music, but the way you said it makes it think like, oh, white music is like classical music is white music, rap music is black music, but it really isn't. There is no definition.
In terms of hip hop, I'm not sure I consider it a musical genre as much as I consider it a form of poetry, an expression, and also a political model. In terms of early music, there were many composers who did the same. Philip the Chancellor in 14th century Paris criticized the Roman Catholic faith through his music, and there were double entendres and a lot of politics in his sacred secular pieces. And in some respects, hip hop is like that as well.
Because my objective was, boy, the minute I have tenure, I'm going to do everything I can to go on tour, on lecture tours, to try and get our black kids to understand that this music is not just for white people. Music can be played by anybody.
Like he listened to classical music or something like that.
He listened to white music.
People would say, well, what's the definition of white music? That's the thing that you have to think about. What's the definition of white music? It's all the same. Some white people might listen to Bobby Shmurda or something like that, or J. Cole. There's no difference between white music and black music.
I was talking with a friend, a black gentleman, and we were discussing prejudice within the black community. And we decided it wasn't really racism. A lot of it was jealousy.
A lot of it has to do with jealousy.
Jealous of each other because of money, jealous of each other because of looks.
May dalawang magkaibigan na mangingisda. Sa buong araw ay marami silang nahuling ulang at nilagay nila sa banga.
तो वहाँ लोग देख रहे थे तो देखा कि वो खुला वाला इंडिया का था तो लोग पूछने लगे कि ये फ़र्क अंतर क्यों मतलब ये सारे crabs बाहर निकल नहीं सकते.
El otro les responde, me encantaría, pero no tenemos tapa para la olla de langosta.
L'autre l'a dit, nous pas qu'à aller, nous pas une couverture pour couvrir panier crabe là. Si nous aller, n'a perdu tout ça nous fait pour journée.
Outro pescador fala, não, esses são caranguejos brasileiros. Quando tenta levantá-lo na cima, os outros vai puxar embaixo.
Because you speak proper English, and it's a habit for you to speak proper English, you're probably going to be more successful than the other people who speak slang. And it's a habit for them to speak slang. So it's going to take a while for them to be successful to be able to speak proper English.
How do we change the mindset of a force of habit? And it's a mindset of, I'm not doing it because we can, or I'm not doing it because it's the right thing to do. I'm doing it because I want to. I don't want to change. I'm good the way I am. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I think it has to be one or the other, and I think that's the issue. I think black people make each other choose.
Yeah. Other communities, I don't know, that have people to decide, okay, this person's black. If you have, to mine for you, I think I said this to you. You're of African descent, you're black. However you choose to live your life is different. Yeah. From an ethnicity standpoint, that's it. And there's no formula as to how you should live your life.
I think that in terms of how black you are, that's an individual level. There's no sort of standard out there. Everybody has to do these 10 things. I think it's a learning process that you go through.
There is no master list. There are no priests who can adjudicate this. There's no holy water that says that person is authentically black and this person is not.
All right, if I do all these things, if I go to the good school, if I get a good education, I get a really good job, or, you know, I do have white friends or other races as friends. Maybe I don't listen to as much rap music, I listen to classical, or, you know, I'm educated in different things. Do I lose my black card?
So you go through your whole life, if you don't find out what's going on, you go through your whole life and you're always trying to be something that you're not.
I think it'll never go away. It depends on the standard of beauty and acceptance and what your pride level is and what your parents and other people instill in you.
You know, you've got the good hair, so you've got the job, so therefore you must be better. And, you know, we've segregated ourselves based on those dynamics. So yes, there are these moments of what is black and what isn't black. You know, are you black just because you go to a historically black school? Are you black if you marry someone who's black? Are you black if you do X, Y, and Z?
The blame falls on you now. As black people, do you feel that you're less black because you want to be educated? Do you feel less black because you want to get up and work every day, you know, until you get your money right? Do you feel that you're less black because you live in a predominantly white neighborhood? Do you feel less black because you dress a certain way? Do you feel less black because you talk a certain way? You can only blame yourself for that. Because you know that every morning you wake up, you are who you are. Be you white, black, Latino, African, Indian, whatever. You are who you are. You cannot be something that you're not.
It shouldn't be separately. I don't understand. I can't wrap my head around it. Why it's separated? Why? Oh, you're not black enough. Oh, where have you been?
I do believe that I am black enough. Yes. You know, I guess it's my age too, you know, because I went through questioning that, you know, because of the way I was treated. And you just eventually, after the experiences that you have and kind of grow through in life, I've just become secure in myself that I feel that I am black enough.
I am black enough. I have experienced everything as a woman that with these eyes, with this skin, with this hair.
I am really black enough. I want to say another word. I am really very Afrocentric. I really am. I love my black people.
I accept how black I am.
But I am very blackish. Yes, indeed I am. I love it. Love it.
So if you're really going to start breaking it down, if you're going to really want to get into history, you got to start seeing. That's why I love Gates. It's where your people came from. They came from here, they came from there. But we came from a nation of black people. All colors though. All Africans are not black.
You're white, you act white, you talk white. I'm so dark. You know, when I'm around all of my friends, even my black friends, I'm the darkest most of the time. I'm always, you know, the darkest. So in my mind, even as a child, I would sit and ponder it like, I really don't understand where you are. I'm black, I feel black, everything about me is black, I'm proud of being black. So if you need to call me that name, I'm just gonna stay true to what I need to do.
There's a fantastic Aristophanes play. And his great predecessors in Greek tragedy are in Hades, in hell. And they figure out there is the scale. So they can see who's the greater playwright by whose work was heavier. And they put it on this scale. It's hilarious, it's a parody. And when I read that as a graduate student, I thought of this invisible committee on blackness. You know, who's black enough? You know, put it on the scale. You're gonna put Amiri Baraka on the scale versus Eldridge Cleaver. You know, which one is black? Is Huey Newton blacker than Maulana Karenga? It's totally ridiculous. They're all black, equally black. Their ass is black, but according to their birth certificate. And we need to stop that.
And that subject of blackness is something that within the black community is laughed about, joked about, held, in a secret space. You don't talk about it. But to have an open dialogue, it creates a space where there are a lot of feelings that are going to come up. There are a lot of feelings of working towards greatness as a black man, working towards greatness and what that should mean.
The first fisherman said, "Don't worry about that, man. A Jamaican lobster them. You know how Jamaican lobster say? When one try to come out, the other one they start pull him down."
The other Haitian fisherman said, "No worry. These are Haitian crabs. Once the crabs on the top finally climb up, the ones at the bottom will drag them down."
The owner laughed and said, "Oh, don't worry, these Indian crabs are like the Indian people. When one guy tries to climb up, the other four go and try to pull him down."
The other guy says, "Nah, those are Puerto Rican lobsters. As soon as one tries to climb out, the others will pull him back in."
The first fisherman says, "Don't worry, those are Filipino lobsters. As the top lobsters try to climb out, the bottom ones will put them back down."
Nah, these are Brazilian crabs. As soon as one tries to lift himself up, the others will pull him down.
Self-love is the key. And self-hate will take you down.
However you come out in this world, you are that you are.
And that should be enough for you.
That's enough.
Exactly. And
That's enough.
If someone says I'm not black enough, I would say, what do you mean? What is black enough? Is it the way I look? Is it the way I act? Is it the way I speak? But to me, I'm black enough for me. And if you can't handle it, sorry.
This kind of thinking is deleterious to the progress of our people. We're all black, we're all in the same camp, and we need to figure out ways to help each other collectively, rather than to demonize each other by saying, unless you're poor, black, inarticulate, illiterate, and living in the inner city, you're not black enough.
Who is black enough? We are all black enough. But now we must accept the challenge to embrace ourselves and embrace each other. For it's only together that we can put the past behind us and head into a future where we can stand tall and grow as a race made up of all shades, styles, and attitudes of blackness.
Eyes open wide, but you don't see.
Your reflection, that is me.
Brothers and sisters, we are in this together.
But divided our shackles will last forever.
And when you look at me, is it my heart you see? Do you not feel the pain I do? What will your answer be when you need sympathy?
Am I not black enough for you?
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't turn away. Don't turn away. My heart, your mind. My heart, your mind. No different inside. Beautiful blackness. Beautiful blackness.
Close your eyes. And what color are we?
For you.
Like you know what the time is, homie. Keeping it real while I cut off the phony. So much baloney, not enough vitamins, not enough work, too much idling. Fighting the urge to rest on my laurels. Don't waste time and it's never been borrowed. Wait till tomorrow, why not right now? Do it up big and raise an eyebrow. Make them flip their lids, oh yeah, they gon' love it. If not, they the crabs in the bucket. Kill that static, kill that noise. You can do it like this, homeboy, it's your choice. We do it like this, then we do it like that. Then we bring it right back. We do it like this, and we do it like that. Then we bring it right back. We do it like this, and we do it like that. Then we bring it right back. Do it like this, and we do it like that. Then we bring it right back. We do it like this, then we do it like that. Any way you want it, we can put it on the map. All around the globe, bring it back to the block. Broadcast live, get it poppin', don't stop. Keeping it moving, soothing the soul. Take a step back when you're losing control. Hold your head high, just to get by. Getting on my nerves, killing my vibe. Forget it, just ride. Catch that feeling. Sky is the limit. Crack the glass ceiling. Bringing it back, put it on the crew. All in together now, that's how we do. We do it like this, then we do it like that. Then we bring it right back. We do it like this, then we do it like that. Then we bring it right back. We do it like this, then we do it like that. Then we bring it right back. Do it like this, then we do it like that. Then we bring it right back.
Yo, take me up for the top and just let it run. No, I got it.
I never understood being held back, 'cause I can hit anything that I aim at. Believe in oneself and make them stand back. When crazy people try to tell me that I don't match, or I don't measure up to what I'm looking like. And what I got to say to that is what I'm looking like. Because my hat is to the front and not around the back. 'Cause my pants is pulled up and you don't see the crack. Oh, it's the button up and the book sack. And $200 frames with my nose at. That you'll call me less black than I am, Jack. Okay, I'm alright with that. You saying things change, I don't see the difference. All I'm seeing these days is they still tripping. Talking about how black am I supposed to be? That ain't even a question you should ask me. No, because I'm well educated and highly articulate. I don't fit in with the clique, well tell me then, 'cause I don't get it. How black am I supposed to be? 'Cause I'm as black as I'm supposed to be. Now, when we were little kids and we were growing up, we seen good times and we seen rough. But when times started to change, I had to change up. Why should people stay in the same rut? Especially when all it took is efforts of trying. Man, we all had to struggle back in someone's time. Some lesser, but that don't make it better than mine. And time will never get no better if we don't keep trying. Man, I'm trying to see the level of the utmost high and do everything I'm supposed to do until I die. You think I got time to sit around wondering why I'm not accepted by acceptors like this ignorant guy? Not I. You saying things change, I don't see the difference. All I'm seeing these days is they still tripping. Talking about how black am I supposed to be? That ain't even a question you should ask me. No, because I'm well educated and highly articulate. I don't fit in with the clique, well tell me then, 'cause I don't get it. How black am I supposed to be? 'Cause I'm as black as I'm supposed to be. My mother sacrificed so I ain't have to. And my daddy wasn't there, but this ain't about you. No, this is for the ones that are about to go through hell and high water 'cause they doubt you. Discriminate and know nothing about you. Mad as hell 'cause they cannot get around you. Try to do it but cannot do it without you. And since you will not tell the truth, then I got to. Long overdue, should've been done that. If I offended anybody, come and get some. 'Cause my heart don't hold fear, hope you understand. When I stand tall as a black man. You saying things change, I don't see the difference. All I'm seeing these days is they still tripping. Talking about how black am I supposed to be? That ain't even a question you should ask me. No, because I'm well educated and highly articulate. I don't fit in with the clique, well tell me then, 'cause I don't get it. How black am I supposed to be? 'Cause I'm as black as I'm supposed to be.
Is there a better